Have you ever been using your phone, scrolling Instagram, TikTok or YouTube and check the time to find you just spent the last hour doom scrolling, watching pointless videos and start to wonder where did all that time go? And you're left asking yourself if you could have been more productive. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your iPhone to maximize productivity, ensure you're not getting stuck in endless TikTok loops and using your phone as a productivity tool rather than a distraction. I've broken this down into 3 different areas. The first of which is identifying key problem areas, how we can identify them and what you need to do to fix them. The second area is friction. How introducing friction will benefit us and allow us to have an iPhone setup enables us to be more productive and less distracted. Finally, minimalism. How we can take a minimalistic approach to making our iPhones as clean and visually friendly as possible. Now, before we get into the first section, it's important to be realistic with what you're looking to achieve. If you're looking for 3 key areas that will make you never touch your phone again, make you become super productive and never get distracted ever, I think that's a bit of a fantasy, and there are creators on YouTube and other places that will sell you that dream, but in reality, what you should be doing, if it's that bad, is turning off your phone or leaving it in another room. With that said, let's get right into it. So, what is a problem area? To me, a problem area is a particular app that you're spending a considerable amount of time on. This may be Instagram, TikTok, or Clash of Clans for all I know. You may already know where your problem areas are, but if you're unsure, don't worry, Apple has you covered. Navigate to the screen time breakdown in settings. You can get this by selecting the settings app, typing in screen time, and this will show you a breakdown of your daily and weekly screen time, the amount of phone pickups you have in a day, and also the amount of notifications you get in a day or week, and what app they come from. From here, you can also enable time limits on social apps or whatever category of apps you're spending the most time on. And if you set it for 2 hours for social, for example, after the 2-hour mark, it will lock all of your social apps and you will have to dismiss the pop-up to get them back, which does take a few extra steps. It's a start in introducing friction, and speaking of friction, let's talk about some of the ways we can introduce friction into how our iPhone is set up. Friction is putting blockers in place that make it harder to complete a certain task. Normally, we want to reduce friction, but when we're looking to maximize productivity and stopping distractions, implementing friction is going to be extremely beneficial. Removing apps from the home screen is a great first step in adding friction to the equation, as you now have to go and seek out the app you're looking for. This may be frustrating at first, but it just gets rid of the easy one tap to open an app that could potentially take up a few hours of your time. I've seen some people get really creative with home screen design options too, so this doesn't have to be all doom and gloom and just plain. Possibly the most important way of adding friction is to stop notifications getting through to you and interrupting your workflow. To stop this, we're going to make use of focus modes, one of the most useful features on the iOS platform. So what are focus modes? If you pull down from the top right of your screen, you'll see an option halfway down the screen called Focus. Once you long press on this, it should bring up a number of options. Here is where you'll find your do not disturb, your personal, work, sleep, daytime modes, and so on. These are all presets that Apple have put in your phone, but you can also create your own focus modes, which is exactly what I've done when I'm creating a video like this one, or if I'm writing the next installment of my newsletter, or if I'm at work, and so on. Depending on which focus mode you select, it will have a different effect on your phone. For example, if I select sleep, a standard one made by Apple, it will mute all notifications, it will turn off my always on display, and if you have a sleep schedule set, it will turn your alarm on for the next day. We can take elements of this into our own creative or work mode. To start off, press the plus icon within the focus mode menu that says add focus. You can now select a number of pre-made options that you'll be able to customize later, so feel free to experiment with each one and see what works best in your situation. In this instance, I want to create my own, so I'm going to select custom and we can name our focus mode, and I'm going to call mine deep work. Select an emoji and color that you think looks cool. You can now customize multiple areas of this focus mode. Who you want to allow notifications come from, what apps you want to allow give you notifications while this mode's enabled, and also if you want calls to come through after 3 attempts or not. If you're struggling here, I'd recommend clicking into some of the preset ones, which Apple has provided, and copying elements of those modes that you do like. Or if it's easier, copy exactly what I've done here from my deep work focus mode. Once you have the focus mode set up, the next part is down to you, and that's being responsible enough to click deep work mode when you're starting work. That way you won't sit down and get distracted instantly from all the reels you're being sent. If you're in a focus mode, you can always pull down once the phone's unlocked to check what notifications you've received while in that mode, just in case you're waiting on something. Minimalism. I've experimented with minimalism over the years, from having minimal apps on my home screen to using shortcuts, and I've settled with having a single iPhone page with 0 apps, no shortcuts, a nice clean background, and all my most used apps in a folder in the center of the dock. So how do you achieve the same result? First, if your phone still looks like this or has multiple pages of apps, I want you to start by removing those extra pages and really having to think about the apps you used most. If you're struggling with this, I recommend using the offload feature on iOS. This will offload apps that you don't use day to day and help you identify those that shouldn't be on your phone in the first place. You can remove these from the home screen by simply long pressing the app and selecting remove from home screen. If you have multiple pages, you can long press on the app as if you're deleting it and untick each window so they no longer show up. From there, I'd find a wallpaper that is super clean and minimal. In my case, it's either photos I've taken or some sort of inspirational wallpaper. You can see here when I go from my standard phone with no focus mode enabled to my deep work mode, it puts up a quote that's "no one cares, work harder." You can have that to be whatever you like, and you can change your wallpaper based on the mode that you've enabled. So if you can't make your mind up on what wallpaper you want, keep it in mind that you can have a different one for each mode, and that should solve it. After following all of this, you may find that minimalism means something else to you, and I want you to experiment with it over the next few weeks and find out what works best for you. Some people prefer having apps on the home screen, others not so much. There are others who like having widgets, apps, everything all on the one, that quick link to focus modes. But personally, I think I'd rather keep it simple and basic. There is no right or wrong way to do this. Remember, we're trying to maximize productivity and reduce distraction. So if you find a better way of achieving that, then go for it. That said, if you'd like to check out 2 other videos that may help you organize your life or identify 4 money habits that are keeping you poor, they're on screen now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.